Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So there's a question that I'll pose to you guys that I was reading about in a book that I'm reading right now. It's a book by Richard Feynman, and it's called The Meaning of It All. Richard Feynman was a physicist, if you don't know who he is. And this book isn't really about physics. It's more just about his thoughts as a citizen, as a scientist. And he poses the question where he doesn't have the answer. He is asking the reader to help him out on this because he's a scientist and he doesn't understand how can, let me make sure I put it right so I do justice to his question. How can you follow God and still believe in science? Can science and religion exist in the same room? Can a scientist believe in God? Or do they all have to be atheists? Is science inherently against the concept of God? Scientists describe God as a magical, invisible wizard who lives in the sky, lives in our heads, secretly telling us what to do. That's what they think it is. So when you look at God like that, I think it would be hard. When you're struggling to find out by looking at the micro parts of an organism, of how it works, if you run across something that you don't understand, the scientist has a hard time just saying, well, it must be God, and just using faith as the answer. The religious person doesn't have that problem. The religious person does that for everything they don't understand. Every single thing on the planet they don't understand, they just say, well, that's God's will. And I mean, this is how religion comforts people, especially in the past, to kind of get through our lives and give meaning to our lives, because this is a scary place and life seems random, and we have to make sense of it all. I think that's all that scientists are doing. I think that scientists and religious people are both doing the same thing. They're just going about it in a different way. They're just trying to find some meaning to life, to figure out what's going on here and how this all works and what our role is on this planet and in this life. I mean, these are the bigger questions. I don't know why that you see a lot of scientists who are just atheists. I mean, I guess they like a lot of atheists, get stuck on the idea of there being somebody out there, an energy out there of some sort, beyond ourselves, beyond humanity, in another realm that we don't even know where it is, that is somehow guiding us, that is somehow this grand architect. That somehow rubs them the wrong way, like sandpaper. Scientists are very clear on the fact in their own heads that life is random, evolution is random. Everything that you see around you, the fact that we have a planet that is habitable with air and water and trees and things like that, the fact that we're not a molten ball of lava is all just random. Whereas the religious person says it's all God. Is there a happy medium? Can you still see the micro parts of an organism and how it's made up scientifically, but yet still believe in God? I think so, because every scientist is going to run into questions, run into brick walls. We don't know how black holes are formed or if they even exist. It's a theory. We've never had a picture of one. So there's a leap of faith that a lot of scientists have, just in the same way that religious people have. I think some of this comes from our own nature of fear, where we kind of create outcomes for ourselves in our head. in order to make sense of the world, in order to make the world seem less scary, less dangerous. I don't think that we need to answer all unknowns with God did it. But I think that when you ask enough questions, think of it this way. I don't know if this is a good analogy, but let me try it. You have a child, and the parent is particularly intelligent, high IQ, master's degree, well-read, well-traveled, just above average in intelligence, knows a lot, does a lot of research. Are you like that? A lot of people are like that these days, especially with the internet available. We can sit there and research shit all day long. And the kid asks the parent questions. Daddy, tell me this. Why does this happen? The dad answers. The parent answers. To the best of their knowledge, honestly. And puts it in terms that they think the kid might understand. The kid asks questions all day long, all night, all through the next day, for years. And the parent can answer pretty much anything a 4-year-old asks, anything a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old asks. You can answer anything like that. There's nothing that you're going to say, well, I just don't know. Because they're asking silly, simple questions, right? Why is water wet? Why is the sky blue? We have answers to all that stuff. And it's not God, because God did it. Water is wet and the sky is blue. The ocean looks blue because of God. People don't explain it that way anymore. But eventually, the kid is going to get older and more sophisticated and is going to ask questions the parent doesn't have answers to. And what does the parent say at that point? I don't know. When the scientist gets to the point when he says, I don't know, I think that's when religion can step in and say, hey, well, here's a possibility. The flaw with religious people is that they mistake what blind faith is. They mistake what faith is. I hate to say blind faith because that has a certain connotation to it. Faith isn't just following your master, like a dog. Even a dog will look at its own master with a crooked head and questionable eyes, depending on what it's being asked to do. Go try to push your dog off a cliff. It's going to be like, what are you doing to me? It's not going to follow you blindly to its own demise. Some humans look at themselves as slaves. They don't use that word, but I don't know a better word to use, as subjects of the Almighty God who can tell you what to do. Go jump off that cliff and you go running as fast as you can. God said to do it. You're not going to stop and be like, well, wait a minute. Do what now? You want me to do what? I don't know. Let me think about that for a while. Let me go ask a scientist and see if that's a good idea. I think both can exist in the same room, but I think both need to be a little bit more open-minded towards the other. Scientists could be open-minded towards existentialism, towards spirituality, towards metaphysical, paranormal stuff. Do ghosts exist? Scientists will tell you very firmly no. I could tell you ghost stories that would have the hair on the back of your neck standing up. I don't know. I'm not saying that there's ghosts. I'm not trying to open that up as this is the way it is, there's ghosts. But this is just a topic that scientists can't answer, but the religion can. You go ask a religious person about afterlife. They'll tell you all about it. The scientists will sit there with folded arms and shake head and be like, you don't know, you don't know. How would you know? Even if the person says, well, I've talked to God. I've been shown the light. I've seen this in dreams. Whatever. Scientists won't believe it. And it's just because I'm not trying to pick on scientists. I'll spend plenty of time picking on religious people too if you want. I just think that there's this way that we get trapped in our own belief system that doesn't allow us to have an expansive, open-minded view of what else could possibly be out there, of other forces that could possibly be at work, of other realms that might exist, of the unknown, of what's in the unknown. I mean, we're always trying to make the known out of the unknown. Religious people do this also. An unknown, if you can't answer it with God, then Jesus, this is a tough one. I mean, that's why it gets frustrating talking to some, especially you get to these backwoods Christians, the snake handling types, they talk in tongues and dance around, and those types. And I've known several people like that. It's almost like talking to a child on certain subjects. And it can get frustrating. I'm not trying to call these people stupid because they're not. Being stupid means you can't comprehend shit. These people can comprehend stuff, but they're just locked into a way of thinking that they feel serves them because of everybody's going through this world like a scared animal, trying to make sense of it all. So I think both sides need to move a little bit more towards the center, be a little more centrist, a little bit less partisan. We can all exist in the same room together. Science and religion aren't opposites. At least not in my mind. It's all just food for thought. Tell me what you think. I don't know if we're going to answer this today. This is just my opinion because Richard Feynman, one of the greatest thinkers that we have, one of the smartest guys who's ever lived, he doesn't have an answer for this either. So let's get to the bottom of it, see if we can answer a question that some of the smartest people in the world stay stuck on. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching.